What's up, it's Film Frenzy, and in my latest movie review, I'm talking about Late Night, the workforce dramedy starring Emma Thompson and Mindy Kaling. Just got back from early screening, so it's time to get right into the review. First category, direction and visuals. So, direction and visuals is a category that is pretty basic in these types of films. Basically, the comedies, dramedies, whatnot, and in this one, there was nothing wrong with it. There were no, shots or any visuals that were, glaringly bad that stood out to me. I thought the set decoration overall was very good. It looked very believable and was just very nice. I mean, when they showed her mansion, it looked just awesome. That was cool, I think, because, set decoration is a big part of visuals, and the production design overall, I thought was very high with this movie. They did a great job showing the different houses. There was a lot of different sets in this. More than I feel like most of its, comedy counterparts, so I thought that was cool. And they were all shown very well. The direction and the cinematography, the individual shots were great too. Nothing out of the ordinary or spectacular that really blew me away, but nothing where I was scratching my head or anything. So I'm not going to give this a bad score, obviously, but I can't give it a 5 out of 5 just because it didn't just completely wow me. So I'll give it a really solid 4.5 out of 5. They did nothing wrong, but they didn't go way above and beyond and exceed expectations, basically. Next topic of discussion, Late Night's acting and character development. So, this cast is absolutely phenomenal. I feel better than almost all other recent comedies I can think of. They got Emma Thompson, Mindy Kaling, Hugh Dancy, John Lithgow, so many more great actors. Those are just the four biggest names at least, and they all put on phenomenal performances. The acting was so great in this, and it really added to the character development. The characters I thought were really great on their own, but with the additional just superb acting and top-notch cast, it just really sealed the deal for me. They got freaking John Lithgow. He is awesome. He's a really underrated actor. I love what he did on Third Rock from the Sun. He was just so hilarious, and this time it's not really about the comedy with him. He's more of a dramatic role, but he does it so great. He can play all different types of roles, and he's excellent in this. Obviously, Emma Thompson is going to be great. She's won an Oscar, for Christ's sake, and she is so excellent that she plays so many different layers. She's so believable. Same with Mindy Kaling, really. I haven't really seen her, to be honest, on anything besides The Office, which is a very one-note, one-dimensional role. And in this, she plays so many different dimensions, and she does a great job. There's so many other great actors. The rest of the writers' room, I thought they were really just well cast, and each character I thought was really well developed, and that was great. Besides 3 of the guys, it was kind of weird. So there's really well developed characters that are really funny. Some more than others were big main characters, and a couple were just kind of supporting characters, but still decently developed. But then there was just 3 that didn't even have a single line. 3 of the 8 guys, I think it was. And I thought that was just ridiculous. Just don't have them in the movie. I agree, you don't have the time to develop an additional 3 characters. But you're just gonna have them sitting there and all the scenes with the writer's room. It's kind of ridiculous. It's not a big fault of the movie, but it was just kind of something I laughed at. I was just it's kind of silly. Just, in my opinion, just cut those characters out. And in terms of individual character development, I thought that the characters definitely grew throughout the film. I thought that was superb. This is probably the biggest high point of the film, in my opinion, the acting and the character development. The main 2 actors of Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson, their characters grow so much throughout the movie, and you really see them develop in all the different layers. They feel so believable and very fleshed out. Tom, who's the senior writer, he was additionally one of the biggest characters in the film, and you really see him develop. At first you get kind of this bad impression on him, but you see who he really is throughout the film. Also Charlie, who's another one of the writers, he's played by Hugh Dancy. He is a great character too, as you see him unfold, and I thought it was just really interesting. These characters are all so believable. I thought that was great. But even though they were still realistic, they still added to the plot excellently, and I thought that was great to have a very character-driven plot. So for this category, I'll be giving the score a perfect 5 out of 5. Yeah, even though there's those 3 characters in the writer's room who, I don't even know if you can call them characters, that's kind of just silly. This category is excellent. They did a great job with acting and character development in Late Night. And my final discussion point is plot, pacing, script, and theme, the various story elements. There's a lot to unfold with this category, both good and bad. I'm going to start with the plot, and overall I thought it was a very solid plot. Yes, it is a bit predictable overall, but there's still some parts where you don't know exactly where it's going. And I feel like usually it didn't just resort to cliches, which is nice because I feel like lots of these workplace dramedies resort to cliches and it's just very unfortunate and a lot of wasted potential. I thought mostly this plot was not wasted potential. Like, it's not like one of those very simple one-note plots that I just hate when they're just overly simplistic. Sometimes they work, but usually those simple ones don't. This one had a lot to it, and sometimes I feel like they took on a little bit too much than they could actually accomplish, because there was a lot of subplots going on. I think that was great, but sometimes I feel like it's just strayed a little bit too much away from the main plot, or like one of the subplot was just a little bit underdeveloped at times, and I thought that was a bit unfortunate. But like, it's not like something that really hurt my enjoyment of the film, so I'm not too upset about that. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the plot, I'll have to say. I thought they did a great job with that. Overall, just the layout of the film was very good. Moving on to pacing, same thing here. I feel like it didn't slow up, it didn't just unnaturally speed up at any times. Very smooth throughout. I thought it felt like about an hour 45 minutes, and it is. It's an hour 42 minutes. So perfect job there with pacing. Great job with that. Really nice editing. I was very pleased. The transitions felt seamless from scene to scene. I wasn't scratching my head wondering where it was in the film. That was great. Very well done and professional in that regards. So I'm high praise from me there. Where we get to the more nitpicking and just bigger problems with the film in this category are in the next two parts, which are script and theme. So first I'm going to talk about the script, which was written by Mindy Kaling, and she was a writer on The Office, so I knew she was funny, and she does a great job with this. I would say a good 75% of the jokes really landed well, and there's some absolutely hilarious ones that are laugh out loud, but there's also times where it felt like I knew what the line that was coming was next, and the best jokes are usually unpredictable, and when you know like what the next part of a scene or the next line that's coming is, it just really takes away from it. And I felt like they kind of just like took the easy way out here and there in the regard to the scripting, but more often than not, it was really solid comedy, and it was very hilarious. Each person I felt like had their own brand of humor. I think that's something that very few movies nail, and I mean, it's important for this movie to nail it because they're dealing with comedy. That's one of the like core aspects of this film, and they did nail that, so I was very pleased with that. And then talking about the scripting of the drama, I think this is where we get into one of my biggest like fallacies with the film, you could say. So on one hand, I feel like the film approaches these kind of hot topics. Like, obviously this is going to be a bit controversial for some people, and I went into this a bit skeptical just of how it's going to, approach these issues and stuff. And I thought, like, half the time, maybe even more than half the time, they were so honest about it. It felt very just legitimate, like, based on, like, real experiences, and just, like, stripping away the outside world and just trying to write honestly, and the drama just felt great. The cast did a great job with the lines that they were given, and it really just developed the characters very well and the plot overall. And I felt like there's just some very real moments that you don't see much in comedies often. I mean, the tone kind of skewed, I think, a bit too quickly away from comedy, or too quickly away from the drama back to comedy. So I like a bit smoother there and a little bit more gradual, going from one tone to the next. But that's okay. That's really just a nitpick. But I feel like that other, maybe a little bit less than half the time, when they were talking about these issues, they'd get very stereotypical and kind of cliched based on, like, the outside world and what modern people are saying about whatnot, racism and racial profiling, white privilege, whatnot, all these different issues, right? And I feel like it kind of was back and forth, and it made the film feel a bit muddled in lots of its like themes and like what it was trying to get at in this regards, because sometimes I felt like it was very convincing what it was trying to say, but other times it felt like it was just kind of just getting a little offensive, and like just what I was kind of afraid that the film would resort to, basically, where they just say some things that just lack the nuance of the better aspects of this film and are really just looking at everything from very one-sided. And to basically summarize these thoughts, because as you can see, I'm having a very difficult time relaying this major drawback of the film, but to just summarize it in one sentence, I would say that Mindy Kaling, she's really tried to attempt to write the film in a kind of a centrist point of view, and I think that's very admirable. I feel like lots of these films that discuss politics and other just big issues in the modern world get very one-sided, and I hate that because, you know, the country is getting increasingly like polarized in terms of politics, and I think that's very unfortunate. So it was really admirable that she was trying to go centrist on lots of the topics and just be really honest and speak from the heart, and it sold me all the times that she did that. She writes so well when she's being honest and just being very genuine. And I wish that was 100% of the time, because honestly, that would make this movie just phenomenal and increase the score exponentially. But unfortunately, maybe about 40% of the time, she doesn't. And she gets very, I would say, one-sided with lots of these issues. And it comes at the film's quality and its expense, and that's really unfortunate. I know that summarization was not one sentence, but that's basically how I feel about the script and how sometimes it would strip away the real genuine emotion for just, you know, trying to appeal to the masses, and that's a bit unfortunate, and that kind of bleeds into the theme, and that it was a bit muddled at times what they were trying to go for, and I think it's admirable what they were going for, and I see it, and it definitely emotionally resonated with me, this movie. They talk about a lot of major issues, like adultery, white privilege, like I mentioned before, and just like privilege of, you know, like quota systems, like what's right and what's wrong, like fighting for your position, because it was really interesting, like the two different privileges they put forth, how Mindy Kaling's character, she's like basically privileged because she got hired because she's a woman, and that's really the main reason, because she didn't really have any qualifications for the job, while the character of Tom, who's the senior writer, is basically hired because his dad was a senior writer on the show a while back. And they're both very funny and they both do their jobs greatly, but they're going to have that in their face. You know, people are just going to keep on talking to them about how, oh, you just had this privilege for you. And I thought that was a great topic. I love when they bring those comparisons. I think that was very original and unique, but sometimes they get cliched, and that's unfortunate. For this category, I'll be giving it a 3 out of 5, mainly for that reason that I attempted to convey earlier. So, for my overall score, this movie is really well done. I think it really just surpasses most of its contemporaries in the workforce dramedy genre, subgenre I guess you'd call it. And so overall, I'll be giving Late Night a 3.5 out of 5. Basically, that main drawback is those eye-rolling moments where I felt like it was just trying to be modern and, like, you know, woke, and it didn't feel genuine. But when the movie was genuine, it was firing on all cylinders. There's so many great aspects to this film. Acting, character development, direction, visuals, like just the overall production design, lots of the writing in terms of drama and the comedy. So much more. Overall, Late Night, I would highly recommend you go watch it. It's getting good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which I'm glad to see because I think it is a very good movie. Not great by any means. I think it could have been much better. It really pains me how close it was to getting excellence. I think if they improved upon that like main like detractor that I talked about, it could be a 4.5 out of 5. One of my favorite movies of the year. But nevertheless, it's a good movie, so thank you for watching this Film Frenzy review of Late Night. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to comment down below your opinions on this film, what videos you want to see me do next. Like and subscribe for more awesome film content. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.